Hi, hello everybody, and welcome to the SIG Windows meeting. It's the 7th of April, and as always, this is a recorded meeting, so please adhere to the CNCF code of conduct. Hopefully everybody is doing well and you're safe and sound at home. If anybody has any issues or anything that they want to bring up in terms of not being able to get any adequate help or needing assistance on anything that's Kubernetes related, please just let me know offline. There is absolutely nothing on the agenda for today. There's a couple of items that I wanted to bring up around cluster API specifically. But before we get into that, I want to see if I want you guys to start thinking about any questions or concerns you have, and then we'll use that as a first discussion topic. Anything from anyone? All right, let's talk a little bit about this cluster API. So one of the things we talked about last week and the week before was we don't really have a lot of resources working on cluster API. There's kind of two separate work streams of what we're doing to get adequate resources for that. The first one is I'm working internally at VMware to see if we can reallocate some more resources. If you guys remember, Ben Moss and Gab were working on that, starting initially from KubeADM, and then they had a goal to help us on the cluster API front. So we're trying to see if we can get some more additional resources re-engaged there. Adelina obviously had some work that she did in that area. So that's something to that's something that we're going to continue investing in. And then Jocelyn let us know this past week that even though he hasn't had a lot of time to dedicate on cluster API so far, it looks like sometime in the May timeframe he might have some more free time. I don't know if that's enough for us to take some of the copy work, advancing significantly for 119. But obviously, when Jocelyn and his time becomes a little bit more free and available, that's something that we can explore. Jocelyn, did I get that right?
Yes, that's correct. Thanks.
Cool. And it looks like, Deep, are you writing about CSI proxy? You want to talk about that, or?
Yeah, I was just providing a quick update there. So reached out to Matthew Wang from AWS around what is his plans with the EBS, if any. Haven't heard back anything though, so we'll continue to follow up through other channels.
Sounds good.
Secondly, I think Mark, as well as other folks from CSI Windows, was discussing yesterday if one of the recent PRs that Claudio merged around the Windows test image support can be utilized in some fashion to also generate other kinds of Windows-based images in other open source repos, like say CSI stuff. So we were just exploring it. We'll probably, I don't know, I guess like best would be to just reach out to Claudio if you have any specific areas that we can get some assistance with.
I was gonna suggest that I can help with that, with anything if you need.
Right.
Even the image promoter stuff, or how to actually enable the image promoter to build the Windows images as well, since we've pretty much added all the needed functionality in the K/K repo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent. We were thinking of maybe getting the parts around, like, how you spin up the Windows nodes and stuff, and see if we can grab pieces of that for building other images. So yeah, that's kind of exploratory, and we'll reach out as we need help. That's all I had.
And Claudia, you mentioned that there is some proposal to split KubeADM out of Kubernetes. You want to talk about that? Do you have some more details?
I just heard today as well, so I have almost zero knowledge, only just what I read on NotDocs as well. But basically, they're proposing to split multiple bits out of the k/k repo, including kubectl and kubeadm, and I think a few other components. And since, as far as I know, there are people who are working on that, they might be impacted by that change.
Got it. And I think kubeadm is something that we also don't have, since Ben was taking the lead for that we're waiting to see if we can get some of his time so he can actually continue and work on that. Likely kubeadm will probably won't make any advancements for 119, but we might try to get it to stable for 120, kind of let it for 2 cycles to bake. Deep, do you think? I think that will be a good approach for us, and that's something they asked for you to do for GMSA, correct?
Yeah, like two is typically recommended before GA.
Yeah, so we'll try to do that. So we'll be looking at even if we don't have enough resources to work on kubeadm for this release, for 120 we should be able to take it to GA. But as far as I know, there's not a lot of work left for that. Most of the work will be for cluster API and all the different providers. And actually, one of the things I wanted to call out is I'm building internally a proposal to get resources from VMware, and a key component of that is not just cluster API, but also the image stamper. Are you guys all familiar with the image stamper project?
This is Mark here. I'm tangentially familiar with it. I know that I know the folks who are doing it, who are using that for the cluster API for Azure Linux images today.
Yeah, so essentially this is a project that eventually is going to enable customers as well as service providers to create their own images or bring your own image that's going to be used for cluster API. And for Linux, it's a little bit easier, right? Because anybody has, most of the SKUs in Linux have some form of redistribution rights, and it's easy for them to actually do that work. Specifically for Windows, the only one that can distribute images is really Microsoft. So part of this image builder work that we need to do specifically on Windows is how do we get, and obviously we cannot do this as a community, this has to be in conjunction with Microsoft, how do we enable the Windows OS to be a key part of the image builder project? And how will that work out both on-prem, like for example, if you're using Hyper-V or vSphere or any other hypervisor, or even bare metal, and how will that work on for all the different public cloud providers, right? But it's a little bit easier because the public cloud providers have a gold image for every OS SKU that they support. So there will be a Windows Server 2019 gold image that you'll be able to leverage and add your own things into it and then import into Image Builder, but it will be harder on-prem. So I think that's something that we as SIG Windows are going to have to find someone that's going to be more involved in that, hopefully someone from Microsoft as well.
Hey, Muzz, I see you're on the call. Is that something that you could maybe help drive from the Microsoft side as well? I think you're a little bit more connected with all of that, the licensing and everything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was about to jump in. Michael, I can work with you on that if you. I understand the overall requirements, but do you want to work with me, or is there someone I can work with more closely to understand exactly what we need to support from Microsoft?
I think it'd be good to include Jocelyn especially for the on-prem scenarios, because I'm not as familiar with those.
Yes, please do include me.
Okay.
But yeah, feel free to include me as well.
Okay.
Okay.
I
So
will work on that.
yeah, so I don't have resources yet that we can allocate on this. Like we need someone that's going to be boots on the ground. But I'm going to go put a note there that Maz and Jocelyn from the SIG Windows team are willing to work with whoever we've identified from VMware to help us push that forward. Most of the folks in the image builder community are also VMware employees. So it's just for us, it's just rebalancing some people to not only have a Linux focus, but have a little bit of a Windows focus. If you guys know, this is hard to do anywhere in the Kubernetes community. So it's no different here for image builders. So, but thank you, Maz and Jocelyn and Mark for the support there. So I think that's going to be very important for us to enable moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Sure thing.
All right, I don't have anything else for today. Any questions, concerns, anything anybody wants to bring up?
One thing I saw that we finally got kubelet approval for those backports for the metrics timeout issue. I think we just need somebody from the release team to look at that. Do you know if the new release team has to remove the OK to cherry pick label? Has the new release team been set up yet, or do you know who?
I don't think
do that?
I don't think they've been set up yet. But what I can do is we can probably ping the old release leads for 117.
Okay, or for 118.
For 18, yeah, for 118. Do you want to do that, or do you want me to do that, Mark?
I'll do that. I think Peng Fei, who's at Microsoft, was the cherry pick approver. So I'll take a look and ping people.
I'm trying to find it here really quickly as well.
Yeah.
See if they have. Actually, 119, they do have. Well, they created the owner's file for 119, but it doesn't. Mark Jackson Tulia seems to be the bug triage, so maybe that's the right person for this.
Okay, I'll dig through this.
Yeah, I'm putting his alias here on chat, so you might want to CC them as well.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with Marky Jackson at all, but it's worthwhile pinging him as well.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any concerns? All right. Well, we'll give everybody 15 minutes back today. Well, thank you all. Stay safe and see you all in a week.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.